Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. Dee Mason, and I am the Director of Nutrimetrics and Clinical Education for Market America and Shop.com. Tonight, we are going to talk about stress and sleep, improve it or else. And the whole idea of this is to talk to you about the things that you can do each and every day to improve your routine, to improve your sleep health. I mean, wouldn't that be brilliant to go to bed, be able to fall asleep naturally, not wake up in the middle of the night, and when you do wake up in the morning, that you do so on your own terms and you feel refreshed. Those are our goals, and I'm going to tell you as a physician, they are also my goals for you, because when you are able to sleep well, you are also able to age well. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight, is the importance of aging well. Aging well requires that you eat well, that you exercise well, that you do what is right by yourself in the way that you speak to yourself and the way that you speak to others. We often encourage people to be kind, right? And the idea here is to be kind, not just to others, but also to yourself. We need to appreciate the stressors that we put on ourselves can have an impact on not just our day today, but on the breadth of our well-being, our energy, as we grow into later decades of life. So the answer to aging well is to manage your sleep, and managing your stress is one of the best and highest qualified ways for you to do that so that you may age well. Would you be surprised to know that human beings are actually the only species that deprive themselves of sleep for no good reason? None at all. Can't find a one, right? We stay up, whether it is to watch late night TV, right? Whether it is because we catch that second wind, right? We drank the wrong foods, or we drank the wrong drinks, or we ate the wrong foods. And at the end of the day, if we were to take a personal inventory, I think we all could agree that we could be doing a little bit better. If you don't believe me, believe the statistics, right? 1 out of 2 Americans, 50% of the population, the adult population, tries to survive on less than 6 hours of sleep a night. When you compile all of the studies on sleep health and longevity, whether we're talking about lean muscle mass, sexual function, being able to keep your body composition within a healthy range, or do something to support metabolic well-being as it relates to blood sugar and cardiovascular health. Yep, based on hundreds of thousands of studies, the number of individuals that can live well, right, that can survive on 5 hours of less of sleep a night is, drum roll please, this many. 0 people can do well on less than 5 hours of sleep a night. So we all need to stop, take a break, and do some math. I know that's not always easy to do, depending on where you're at in your day and what's been going on today, but I need you to do some math. What time did you wake up? And what time are you going to go to bed tonight? Or what time do you normally go to bed? Because what we find is that most people are walking around with 17, 18, 19 hours of wakefulness, meaning they've been awake for all of those hours. And this is an enormous problem. If you want to keep your heart healthy, if you want to keep your waistline trim, if you want to be able to keep your brain clear, you need to get more sleep than that. Now, I try to hit below the belt, and so libido goes down if your sleep hours are also going down. So if you want to improve all quality of life factors, you should be upping the hours you go to sleep. Now, when it comes to healthy aging, I'm not making this stuff up. In fact, your body runs on a cycle, right? There's no such thing as a steady state hormone. They go up and they go down, and they are intimately linked to the signals that your body is sending out, those signals that it receives. And those signals it's receiving are coming from light. When natural light comes out in the morning, and when that light goes down, whether it's in the winter months or the summer months, your body is paying attention. And that fluctuation is sending signals to each and every one of your cells about the health of that cell, the energy metabolism of that cell, the ability of that cell to sweep out debris. In fact, this sleep-wake cycle, every one of your cells is paying attention to its own clock. Its clock is telling you whether or not you are healthy, right? Whether or not you can do well the next day. In fact, it's controlling your body temperature, it's controlling your hunger hormones, it's managing your sleep hormones. In fact, it's managing the secretion of most of your hormones, whether we're talking about sexual health, whether we're talking about healthy body composition, cardiovascular well-being, or just getting that good night's sleep. It's all dictated by the signals that your body is hearing from the clock that you are keeping, right? So what kind of hours are you keeping? Because if you're not keeping great hours, again, go back, ask yourself on a regular day, how early do I wake up and what time do I normally fall asleep, right? What does my 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon look like? Do I hit a wall? Is there something else that I need to do? Is this when you're like reaching for the sugar bomb drinks or the caffeinated beverages? We're about to learn what you are not supposed to do, right? Because when you don't get a good night's sleep, mental performance goes in the tank, right? You're not able to get a thought out. You're not able to remember common things like your family's names, right? What's going on, what you ate for breakfast. At the end of the day, people that are poor resters really have a hard time managing details throughout their day. And it's not at that 5-hour mark. It's less than 7 hours where people start to notice cognitive decline, memory decline, concentration or focus. That's why I ask about that 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock hour. How well are you feeding yourself and how well did you sleep the night before? In fact, low cognitive function is linked to the hours of sleep that you're getting. And I'm not talking about in later decades of life, right? We all can appreciate that parent or that grandparent that we noticed that they weren't sleeping as much as they got older, right? I'm not talking about those hours. The signals you're in your brain start at the age of 20. And that cognitive decline that is intimately linked to sleep patterns started decades ago for many of us. Most people will notice sleep issues, not just with that foggy brain or that hitting a wall at 2 or 3 p.m., but they start to notice that there's some hormone fluctuations. They often are related or circulating around hunger hormones. Did you know that there is a hormone called leptin? And leptin is a good guy. Leptin is secreted from your white adipose tissue, and it's actually telling your body that you are full, that you are good, that you can push the plate away. But if you do not get a good night's sleep, your leptin goes down. Your leptin from your white blood cells is not sending the signals it's supposed to from the body. You're not sleeping well. The brain doesn't secrete it either. You know what it does secrete? A hunger hormone. That hormone is called ghrelin. And ghrelin is actually the only hormone in the body that tells you that you're hungry. Do you ever have a voracious appetite when you wake up? You may not have slept well the night before. Are you ever in a position where you feel like you are not doing well with cravings? You just need something and you need it now, right? You maybe didn't sleep well the night before. Individuals that can make good food decisions, right? Good decisions, period, are usually people that are well slept. There are other benefits to sleeping, like better physical performance. Individuals that do not sleep well are not just less apt to be able to perform in the gym or perform in general. They are more likely to be injured with normal activity. We're not talking about a freakish commitment to fitness and doing things that are unsafe too quick, right? What we're talking about is people's ability to protect themselves from injury in the gym, and you've been working out and you get your first set done and you're like, okay, I greased the groove. I'm good. I'm able to do this better. And your second set, nailed it. Your third set, you did great. By the fourth or fifth set, you might be finding that you're having a hard time keeping that going. Do you want to know why? Your central nervous system is the first system to fatigue, and it's the last system to come back. You know this. If you've ever walked out of the gym after a really good workout and you try to get your keys in the ignition and you think to myself, I'm not this clumsy. Why am I having such a hard time? Because your central nervous system is the first system to not break, but the first system to have to be fill under that burden, and it is the last system to come back. Now think about not getting a good night's sleep, being overly stressed, spending too much time with the wrong foods or the wrong drink, right? Sometimes with the wrong people, right? Now what we've got is an issue where the central nervous system doesn't have a big window to recover. This is an issue from muscular fatigue to muscular injury to ultimately just a lack of endurance or a sense of energy or vitality. In fact, these rhythms temper all of the hormones. The clock that every one of our cells is running by is liberated or told what to do by the light of the outdoors, right? And that's why we tell people to limit the light that they have at night, that we tell people to turn the lights down, use blue blockers, orange glasses, these sorts of things, so that you do not get exposed to lights that are going to make your melatonin go down and your sleep hormones depleted and your anxiety, your agitation hormones go up. We want to be careful to all of the light signals that we're sending, not just daylight signals and nighttime signals, but your overhead light signals. We want to pay attention to that. Guess what is the biggest problem when it comes to those lights, right? It's your cell phone. It's your computer screen. It's the lights that are in front of me right now. They're all hormone disruptors. They're wreaking havoc on our body. And so we have to create a ritual around this so that we are able to keep our hormones within balance, have a healthy night's sleep. If we don't pay attention to the light that is coming in, if we don't pay attention to the stress that we deal with each and every day, and how to manage that with things like food and supplementation, exercise, and deep rhythmic breathing, we end up poor on the performance scale, poor on the mental or cognitive scale, and we end up wreaking havoc on our hormones, a hormonal milieu that does not give you the longevity, muscle mass, sex life, or age or quality of years that you are looking for. So you have to ask yourself, what signals are you sending? Stress is way too common in our lives for us not to talk about its impact on sleep. Deep sleep chemicals, they tell stress hormones to go down. So we're looking for that 11, yeah, you heard me, you late nighters, 11 p.m. to 1 p.m. That is a brilliant time to capture that deep sleep, those slow wave sleep. It's great for the brain. It's great for recovery. It's great for stopping these stress signals. I'll prove it to you. Have you ever had fragmented sleep? You've gone to sleep later than you know you should have, right? And you wake up in the middle of in the night and you're like, I can't go back to sleep, right? Because something is competing with your sleep signals or your ability to reach that deep sleep. And it is stress. Sometimes it's alcohol that does this. It's most definitely caffeine and sugar in a lot of people's lives. So first goal is to turn down those lights when we are getting ready to go to bed, that we pay attention to our sleep signals, that we don't give ourselves a second wind, right? That we don't stay up late for no good reason, as Dr. Walker says, and that we help our body achieve that deep sleep, right? So this is my wish for you, that mindful sleep between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., not waking up at 2 in the morning and thinking, what am I doing here, right? If you don't get a good night's sleep, and this isn't to say if you're not in deep sleep by 11, that everything is for naught and you got to just try again the next day, right? Because the body goes in these 90-minute cycles. And so you go through these 4 to 5 phases, depending on who you speak to, of sleep cycles, and they recycle each other. But we really want to dampen those stress signals by getting that first bout of good deep sleep between 11 and 1 a.m. It can be difficult to fall asleep if you're overly stressed, right? If we are paying attention to the day and we're reworking the day in our head and we're not using kind words with ourselves and other people, well, then we're in a little bit of trouble because we may not be able to fall asleep because we've just ramped up our stress signals. If you don't get enough good sleep at night, your body continues not just to have these deep sleep signals or chemicals not dampen stress levels. In fact, the lack of these deep sleep chemicals, right? This increases the amount of stress signals, making matters worse. If you don't wake up feeling rested, you don't have a great day. You often make bad choices and the cycle continues, right? We've all thrown up our hands at some point and said, whatever, I'm going to do something different tomorrow or someday, right? But what we really need to pay attention to is what can we control today? So what signals are you sending out? Did you know that norepinephrine, that's a good guy, right? But it is one that gets ramped up. There's another hormone called, or a neurotransmitter, or a prohormone called adenosine. And these are competing neurotransmitters where norepinephrine wants to focus us, excite us, keep us up, but it blocks sleep signals. Adenosine, on the other hand, its opposite, is always increasing throughout the day. It's pretty low in the morning and it increases at night. And this is what norepinephrine and adenosine are doing. So we want our adenosine levels high at night, which means we need to pay attention to when and how much caffeine and alcohol we drink. Because when you drink alcohol and you drink caffeine, in particular, before you go to bed, what happens is adenosine levels go down and norepinephrine levels go up, and you're going to be up tonight, my friend, right? What we're looking for is to create more serotonin. How do we create more serotonin? A calming neurotransmitter, a neurotransmitter that helps us with good judgment, perception, a sense of well-being, and yep, you guessed it, stress management, as well as a healthy sleep hygiene. The right amount of serotonin can help you achieve sleep. The smallest amount of norepinephrine produces wakefulness. It interferes with receptors where other hormones like melatonin are benefiting us or helping us fall asleep. So what is our goal when it comes to serotonin? We need to be consuming foods and supplements that can help up our game when it comes to serotonin and calming neurotransmitters like GABA, right? We need to be making sure that we're choosing good timing of our food when it comes to things like alcohol and caffeine, which can increase norepinephrine, but decrease hormones that allow you and neurotransmitters that allow you to sleep. And we need to treat the gut. In fact, I always say the road to health is paved with good intestines. So make sure you are being good to your intestines, because when you have a healthy gut biome, when you have a healthy gut barrier, when you eat well, then you are eating for healthy hormone balance and healthy sleep, because that's how you improve serotonin. A large percentage of your serotonin has an influence or is influencing the body based on the health of your gut. Now, I've mentioned a neural hormone called melatonin, and it's one you guys are probably familiar with because the one that's considered the sleep hormone, the one that most people pay attention to, but it's really important for so much more than just sleep. Although it is a key player in sleep, but other metabolic processes interplay. In fact, melatonin regulates more than 500 genes. So it plays a pretty big role in healthy aging, in blood sugar, even in immune function, because of the role it plays, a lot like serotonin, in the health of the gut. Its increased production is tied to being able to manage a natural sleep time. And that's what I mean when I say don't allow that second wind to kick in. Pay attention to when your body starts to feel tired, because that is your natural rise of melatonin. That is where adenosine is up, right? But what happens when we get light? What happens when our lights are on too high, too bright? We're not running our nights with lamplight, that melatonin goes down. We're less likely to have a good night's sleep or to be able to achieve healthy sleep, at least not in a timely manner. That's called sleep latency, where you are just laying in bed and you can't fall asleep. So we have to appreciate that melatonin's greatest influence is light. right? So that's why we're going to turn them down at night. That's why we're going to pay attention to normal light signals from the outdoors. It's also why we're going to pay attention to food and the gut, because they play a secondary and tertiary role in the health of your melatonin. Like I said, melatonin goes way beyond a healthy night's sleep. It plays an enormous role in blood sugar and insulin health. Melatonin, while it does prepare us for sleep, it does a second benefit by binding to receptors for suppression of insulin, right? So we don't get an insulin spike, a growth spike, an energy spike, and then as it relates to blood sugar, an interplay or a push or a tug of war with glucose. But when you think about this, right? We eat foods, the wrong foods in the wrong amount at the wrong times of the day, right? So while melatonin is trying to prepare you for a healthy night's sleep, while it's trying to prepare you by dampening insulin, that sugar you're eating, that high carb meal that you're eating, right? That meal that doesn't have fat in its natural state or a sufficient amount of protein, that's increasing your need for insulin, which blocks out, put up your Duke's melatonin, right? And now all of a sudden we're not getting a good night's sleep at all. In fact, we've just created an environment for obesity because we're not going to manage that blood sugar and insulin quite as well as we would have. And what you need to know is that chronic exposure to elevated glucose, even a little bit elevated, where you're just not your best self managing that sugar, leads to when prolonged leads to metabolic derangement. Some of that metabolic derangement is the inability to keep your blood sugars within healthy ranges. Some of that metabolic derangement is a lack of lean or a loss of lean muscle mass, bone mineral density, as well as energy or thyroid regulation. Hormones are intimately linked to one another. So when one hormone goes up, like glucose, another hormone has to go down. And when that hormone goes down, there's a counter-regulatory hormone that has to do something else. And it's like a game of dominoes. Would you be surprised to know, though, that when glucose is elevated, even slightly elevated, but it happens day after day, that we start to see brain volume decrease? And this is why sleep and blood sugar is so powerful in a healthy brain, why we pay so much attention to healthy aging by asking people to eat well and asking people to sleep for their longevities, because studies show that even a slight increase in fasting blood sugar is associated with atrophy or a lessening of volume, a decrease in size of the brain that is responsible for both memory and cognitive function as we age. Even a few days of impaired sleep, right? I asked you to do the math. How many days in a row do you do that? Because what studies show us is that even a few days of impaired sleep can lead to elevated C-reactive protein, a primary inflammatory biomarker that your primary care physician, your cardiologist, and your endocrinologist are paying attention to. Loss of sensitivity to insulin. We've already kind of described melatonin and glucose role in our sensitivity to insulin and that obesogenic environment that we are creating. My big hit below the belt is that it does lower your libido and it does add to extra inches or centimeters around your waist. When you have impaired sleep, your hunger hormones go up, and your satiety or I am full, I can push the plate away hormones, your good protective fat signal goes down. And so we have to pay attention to the multifactorial approach, not just to how we may be less well slept, but now we have to say if there's multiple ways, journeys, roads into the bad night's sleep, like melatonin being disrupted, sugar being too high, caffeine being elevated, consumption of alcohol, lack of a healthy gut, or lack of exercise, then we have to start thinking if there's that many ways to get ill, then we have to pay attention to the multiple ways that we can be well, right? If the disease process or the health process is complicated, then we need to start thinking about simplifying some things and starting with the basics, optimizing your sleep rhythm, a targeted diet, to influence inflammation that the body creates. And we can do this by adding in select amino acids that are calmative and nutritive, reduce oxidative stress, and improve the batteries in each one of your cells called the mitochondria. What we're ultimately looking to do is to restore your metabolic fitness so that you can restore your physical and hormonal fitness, recovery. We need to make sure that we're paying attention to that central nervous system and that you're getting the magnesium, botanicals, and amino acids that can help you keep these neurotransmitters within healthy ranges. It starts with a routine. You need to wake up at the same time each morning, and you need to go to bed at the same time each night. You need to calculate the hours that your body needs to repair itself. And yep, it needs to be more than 6. In fact, if you go back to the beginning, we talked about how 50% of the population is getting less than 6, and that we start to notice some cognitive decline if you're getting less than 7. I need you to shoot for 7.5 hours, and I need it to be regular. I need you to pay attention to light cycles outdoors and control your light cycles indoors. While it pains me to say it, I need you to watch your caffeine consumption. Caffeine consumption, especially later in the afternoon, will disrupt your clocks. Caffeine has a half-life of 6 to 7 hours and a quarter life of 12 hours. What that means is 6 to 7 hours later, it's half as much. And 6 to 7 hours later, it's as much again, right? So if you have that coffee around noon, a quarter of that caffeine is still circulating through your body at midnight. In addition to that, caffeine is what we refer to as thermogenic. It increases body temperature. And what you need to be able to get into that deep sleep is get your body temperature down at night. Now, some people do this with different types of blankets. Some people do this with obviously controlling their thermostat. I'm telling you that what you eat can have an impact on how well you sleep. Healthy neurotransmitters means a healthy mind, right? It means a healthy body. Magnesium is critically important, capital C, critically important for the production of serotonin, and that's good for the gut as well as good for the brain. Dopamine, and a lot of people say, really, dopamine? Because I heard dopamine was the excitatory hormone or neurotransmitter. It absolutely is. It's also your ambition hormone. It's also your I'm going to get stuff done neurotransmitter. So you need to have a balance between serotonin and dopamine, and magnesium is a fantastic way to do that. Magnesium, you don't make melatonin without it, and you don't make another inhibitory neurotransmitter without magnesium. That neurotransmitter is called GABA. You know what else helps you make GABA? An amino acid called taurine. So taurine, much like dopamine, is something that we want to have up and then let it come down through healthy metabolism, and magnesium is what allows you to do that. Magnesium is what allows you to be focused well, deal with perception and overwhelm of stress, but also be able to create the neurotransmitters that are going to walk you back and allow you to get a good night's sleep. Things like magnesium and the balance of dopamine and serotonin, the balance of insulin, glucose, and melatonin all play a role in feeling calm, feeling well, and achieving a healthy night's sleep. Vitamin C, a major player in stress hormone balance. Why? Because it is a critical, like magnesium, it is a component to the production, the literal synthesis of neurotransmitters that allow you to be well and feel well. Whether it's mental perception, right? The world around us feels like it's coming at us fast, then vitamin C can be of benefit to you. What we need to understand is while the recommended daily intakes or the RDUs are very low, right? So it's possible to get enough, the values are very low to be minimally well when it comes to vitamin D. We spend through it just like this. Smokers spend through it about 6 times as faster as other individuals. Individuals that have a hard time keeping their stress or managing their well-being may want to look at vitamin C for its benefits when it comes to stress and health. But the big granddaddy is a complex of B vitamins. And yet, people as young as 20 are deplete in B vitamins. Why? Because they're consuming way too much sugar. We prescribe a lot of medications today, partially because of that state of um, overwhelm or stress, or the keeping up, the fear of missing out, right? It's not just prescription drugs, it's over-the-counter drugs, but stress is one of the number one reasons why we have so much trouble, and why B vitamins are absolutely critically to both get through diet as well as supplementation. When you get a sufficient amount of B vitamins, you'll actually get a better night's sleep. This is what's so crazy. People say, no, I'm concerned that if I take B vitamins, I'm going to stay up, right? Well, what you need to appreciate is the individuals that get with B vitamins are getting the benefits, the bump of things like the norepinephrine, the glycine, the other excitatory type of neurotransmitters, right? But they need a sufficient amount on board to keep pushing through that metabolism so that they are able to make the counter regulatory neurotransmitters like GABA, like the serotonin, those things that are going to allow us to calm down, right? And so they assist in the production of these calming neurotransmitters. And so you need to have your savings accounts full of B vitamins. Depending on your own response, you may be just fine taking them right before bed. You may just need to take them earlier in the day, depending on your response. But you need to fill the well back up. You need to fill the well up with what? Healthy words for yourself, right? Deep rhythmic breathing, things that sense of like, I'm going to create calm. Good foods, magnesium rich foods, and B vitamin rich foods. And for places where you need to fill in gaps where your diet falls short, there is supplementation. When should you consider additional support to help support these neurotransmitters, this good night's sleep, to achieve this sense of well-being? Well, when your difficulty sleeping has lasted greater than 3 weeks, when you have a significant amount of mental emotional distress where you need to kind of pull in some reserves, if you've noticed that you're not able to control carbohydrate cravings, listen, I'm not, and you're not bulletproof, right? We love carbohydrates. Many of us have a sweet tooth. I happen to be very, very fond of marshmallows, right? But if I were ever to be in a position where I didn't feel like I could say no to them, this is when I would say that I need to pull in some of my adaptogenic reserves. We've talked about the importance of a healthy gut playing a big role in your stress and sleep response. So if you are noticing that digestion is very difficult for you, you need to understand that stress hormones really do wreak havoc on our intestines, and we should probably pay attention to the signals that our body is giving us. Beyond that, the usual suspects, the food cravings, the energy fluctuations, you're starting to notice that you're putting on weight because of extra stress or a sense of overwhelm. While many people feel today that sense of brain fog or that mental confusion, starting simple may be the way to push in the right direction or move the needle in the right direction for you. One of those easy steps that you can take is an adaptogenic herb, whether it's rhodiola or erythrococcus, withania, or holy basil. These beautiful plants that are adaptogenic. They allow you to adapt to stress, to be able to mount energy when you need to, and to be able to support you through fatigue phases and then help you get a good night's sleep or manage emotions. They are herbs that allow you to fight and go and do the things that you need to do, and then create balance by pulling you back and allowing you to achieve a sense of calm. We often think of this as endurance botanicals, as well as calming and mental health or perception botanicals, right? When you need to feel fortified, you need adaptogens. When you need to feel resilient, you need adaptogens. And one of the best adaptogens is something called ashwagandha. In fact, specifically a trademarked ingredient of ashwagandha called sensoril ashwagandha. Sensoril ashwagandha is clinically studied evidence to support things like an appropriate response to stress, boosting energy levels, putting that master focus back on the mind and the body. In fact, athletes, often people that put themselves through a lot of physical stress will often use ashwagandha, specifically sensoril ashwagandha, to maintain strength, endurance, but also that healthy reaction time so they can support the recovery from that exercise on their central nervous system. What I want you to know about withania, or the ashwagandha, the sensoril ashwagandha, is that sensoril ashwagandha is a 10% withanolide. It is a water extracted ingredient that we put in a product called Axe. And that's a very powerful place to be, because we want to keep our cortisol levels well, we want to keep our thyroid levels well, and the adaptogenic nature of this botanical, water extracted instead of chemically extracted, allows us to give you all of the best parts of this plant. So whether you are an athlete or you're just feeling wore out, this type of product is great for you. Now, pairing it, nothing in nature acts in exclusion. So we want to make sure that we are also pairing these types of things, these adaptogens together, so that we get the endurance and the resilience that something like ashwagandha can give you, that is found in the Axe product, in that 10% ingredient, or in the Bliss product. It is found in a 3% ingredient that gives you some sense of strength and when you want to pull in those big guns. But both have L-theanine, my very favorite adaptogenic botanical. It is found in tea, both black and green tea, and it gives the body a sense of calm, but it helps the body and the mind feel focused. It is good for relaxation and definitely for sleep, but often people will go through that ritual of care, self-care for themselves, by drinking black or green tea. And the neat thing about it is that you don't have to, if you are a tea drinker, you don't have to go find one with a bunch of L-theanine in it. It's naturally rich in L-theanine. But if you're looking for the balance of L-theanine on a regular basis, you can get that through adaptogenic supplementation, like the Bliss anti-stress and like the Axe adrenal, cortisol, thyroid, and stress, right? It's that sensoril, that ashwagandha, that has that benefit, right, of the endurance and the improvement of physical as well as mental well-being. But we came here also to talk about sleep. And so you want to look at the benefits of sleep through adaptogenic herbs. In this case, we call these nervines. They are nerve reducers, or they help the body not have such a hair-like trigger. So passion flower, this relaxes the body. Well, you've probably heard the very popular valerian root. It's considered a natural sleep aid. Now, while it can take some time to work, that is one of the benefits of this product. Not the time it takes to work, we're going to talk about that, but the fact that when something doesn't knock you out, right, what you've got there, when something is working on multiple centers of the body, the nervous system itself, what you end up doing is waking up feeling rested, not hung over, right? But what we've added so that this product works when you need it is 3 milligrams of melatonin. So we've got the benefits of these nervine botanicals like chamomile. This calms the tummy. This calms the stress that we feel in our abdomen, as does the jujube seed. Jujube is actually one of these incredible botanicals that people will use to calm the nervous system. In particular, it has an affinity for the gut. But it is shown to be of benefit across the entire central nervous system. And so people like it very much because it doesn't make them feel obtunded or, like I said, hungover. Lemon balm, another fantastic ingredient. This is all about creating that circadian or that healthy sleep rhythm. Because of the way lemon balm works with GABA, it's able to create that healthy sleep cycle if you're having a hard time falling asleep. But the way that we can help this product that works so that you don't feel sluggish, obtunded, or hungover, but make sure that it works when you need it, is that we've also added 3 milligrams of melatonin to this product. Now, I talked about making sure that you get happy, calming signals to your body, right? Through the words that we choose, the way that we spend, who we spend our day with, because that's how we create dopamine leveled out with serotonin. We create goods that are helpful for keeping the body centered, the mind centered, and the sexual well-being on point. Those are things like oxytocin, GABA, and melatonin. These are to help us achieve that relaxation and that sleep. So whether you need your head in the right space, right, these are the happy and calming signals. Well, how do we support these important pathways? B vitamins, magnesium, taurine, and something called B6 all play a role in the production and balance, the symphony of these neurotransmitters. And then an amino acid called L-tryptophan is a precursor to melatonin, as well as helping us with some of these blood sugar or food craving issues that we have. I know you're going to say, why turn up? Because what we need to do is to create well-being and balance. Evidence, blood sugar support, focus throughout the day without that caffeine or that sugar bomb, right? So this is not something you take before bed. This is something you take. Remember, I asked you about the 2 p.m. or the 3 p.m. wall that you hit. That's when I want you to take turn up so that you can avoid the use of stimulants to get you through the rest of your day, but in fact can create that dopamine and have serotonin and GABA on reserve over here, because we've created an amazing blend of amino acids like glycine, phenylalanine, taurine, which turns to GABA and can help manage that sense of balance between dopamine and serotonin. This product doesn't just have antioxidants in it for healthy energy, but also magnesium, so that you get to create all of the neurotransmitters that we talked about. And then there's the benefit, as I said, of supporting important pathways like L-tryptophan turning into serotonin and then ultimately turning into melatonin. Tryptophan is the precursor, the granddaddy precursor to serotonin and melatonin production. Unfortunately, melatonin and serotonin start to decline with age and with poor gut tone. So I need your gut to not be so tore up. I need you to treat your intestines well, right? I need you to eat well. I need your biota to be healthy. That means you're eating fermented food or you're using probiotics. We've been able to link both of those things, fermented foods and probiotics, to a healthy gut biota and ultimately healthy mental well-being. We need to pay attention to gut permeability, because your gut health plays a huge role in the activity of melatonin for a good night's sleep and serotonin for a sense of overall well-being. And that's why we have created the Turn Down product, so that we can help people with the 3 issues that they have with sleep. How long does it take to go to sleep? Can they stay asleep? And do they wake up feeling restored? Those are major questions that I have for poor sleepers. Where is the target? Are we trying to help you fall asleep faster, make sure you stay asleep, or support restful and restorative sleep so you wake up feeling well? Well, this is the base, the simple step to protect all 3 of those areas. You may need something like Axe if you wake up in the middle of the night. You may need more cortisol support, more thyroid support. Reduction to time to sleep, you may want to look at more magnesium, or maybe you're going to use something like the Bliss product throughout the day, or you're going to do what I need you to do, which is pay attention to your alcohol consumption and your caffeine consumption. But much like melatonin, it's not just about sleep when it comes to tryptophan. In fact, tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin production, which makes it great for mental health, perception, and sense of mental or emotional well-being. It's been shown clinically, L-tryptophan, to support healthy cravings because of its role in blood sugar, support for getting sleep so that you can keep a healthy weight or body composition. And of course, for individuals of advanced years or where there's already some hormone issues, where they're not really on point or balanced, L-tryptophan, because it is important in hormone regulation, especially age-related decline. We know that this is a fantastic way to protect sleep hygiene, sleep latency, and make sure that you feel rested when you wake up. So what can you expect from restorative sleep? Overall mental well-being. Be a better multitasker, recall and memory, right? We talked about sleep and blood sugar playing a role in brain volume. So we need to make sure we pay attention to all of those things for a healthy night's sleep. Get the body rebalanced. This is the benefit of utilizing restorative sleep products and focusing on the things that you can do every day to create a healthy routine. Start with doing less and let your natural instincts prevail. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about sleep and stress, improve it or else. I will see you next time as we go live and support your health questions through health education on Market America Facebook group, or catch me later on live. Thank you, everyone.